That's the control of the personal power. Mics are on. There you go, Dave. All right, we'll call the November 8th, 2021 Board of Fire Wards meeting to order at 6:02 p.m. First item on the agenda tonight is correspondence. Did you
We did
have
receive
an
some
appointment
correspondence.
tonight?
He did not, but that's okay.
I figured it was, yeah, because we didn't have, everybody didn't show up last
Right.
month, that they would continue to this.
Did you go to planning board?
We did, and we're waiting for this answer to move. They're just waiting on this answer.
Okay, so this is a continuation from the last meeting, so why don't we take up that item now, if that's okay with everybody? Okay?
Agreed.
All right, Mr. Hardy.
So I don't know what month it was when you guys voted on doing a cistern over there. It's been 2-3 months ago, probably now.
Which location?
Perkins Pond, Mountain Road.
Oh, that was last month,
September,
September 13th.
was that map 410 lot 53, Perkins Pond and Mountain Road?
Yeah,
Okay. That was in September.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I wanted to see if we could do sprinklers instead of a cistern. I didn't know if there's either, you know, you got the fire pond down at the other end. Do we need one at the other corner?
Chief, would you like to speak to that?
It's your decision. I mean, I think we could make a case both ways. One is what the planning board regulation says, cistern. Or two, there's a very viable water source down at the end of the street. The issue for me becomes what implications does that bring to the rest of the community?
My recollection was we talked about the footage from the existing sandpipe hydrant there, the dry hydrant.
Yeah, so this subdivision starts more or less at the 2,200 foot mark from the water source. I think all of the lots are beyond the 2,200 feet, and then continues for,
25.
it's a
There's
ways, I had it
2,500.
written down actually.
There's like 2,500 feet of road frontage.
Yeah, it's 2,260 feet to the property, and the property itself is like 2,200 feet of road frontage around to like the closest pin of the last lot or something to that effect. No, I'm sorry, to the closest corner of the last lot is 1,976 feet beyond the 2,260, which is essentially across the street from 49 Mountain Road. I think you could certainly sprinkle those houses, and we still have a water source that's relatively close for, you know, that other part of the fire control that doesn't, you know, I think sprinklers and cisterns kind of go hand in hand, or sprinklers and static water source go hand in hand.
There's Low Road, all those new ones. We did one
What's
down. Low Road, all those new ones down there, sprinkle it.
Those are sprinkler down there, that was,
And that's not too old. That's only a couple-year-old
Yeah.
subdivision.
so I'm fine with it. Sprinkle in that other water source. But that's just my opinion. And for, well, as a comparison, Sugar Hill, which you're working on, those were agreed to back in '06 or '10
Quite a while
to
ago.
be sprinkled in lieu of a cistern out there. So the issue with that project is there is no static water anywhere near there. But that was an agreement that was done at least by 2010, if not sooner than
Yeah,
that.
probably sooner.
Well,
So this is, I mean, we do have water in the area, which we've used that pond. This subdivision kind of triggers that cistern discussion, but they've built a lot of other houses out in that area that either were close enough or the subdivision wasn't big enough to trigger. So,
what kind of a ramifications would we have going forward if we alter the,
well, I think one of the things to look at is as we develop further out from the center, right, is you have issues of response time. Sprinklers kind of take care of that. But it's really, you know, our hands are tied to some degree, right? So you have a very spotty, haphazard approach to sprinklers. There's no comprehensive plan. And if memory serves me, going up Mountain Road, there's, is Bartlett the first one? I mean, it's,
Etta or Bartlett, either one.
yeah, so I mean, but again, I think anything in that corner, like Peacock Hill, all that, we're going back to Perkins Pond.
when sprinklers are put in a house, there's requirements under NFPA for maintenance, correct, and testing?
Correct.
Do we know if that, do we have any information on if any of that's happening?
We have no information on that.
Because that's the problem with residential sprinklers is, in a commercial setting, if you need inspections, example, a restaurant, so they have to provide their certificate of maintenance and testing
Yep.
Annually. And so that's one of the issues that we have with sprinklers in residential is that there isn't really that requirement to provide that certificate or evidence that it's been tested and it's going to work properly. So 20, 30 years down the road or more, that's one of the issues with sprinklers. And so I'm just throwing it out there, you know, the pros and cons of both ways, trying to,
Yeah.
And we do educate a little bit when they do, because we don't do a lot, but lately we've been doing New Boston. We do go a bit out that way, which is sprinkled, which I make them, they gotta go down and cycle it at least once a month near the pump. So I do give them some education of the sprinkler system when we do install it, because they don't have a clue,
At least I don't have a problem with it either way. I know we leaned that way because that was the way the planning board had worded it.
Yeah, because it's more.
Yeah,
like
because even if we say sprinkler's fine with us, the planning board still has to vote to, that's their vote, that's not ours, right?
well, we voted on that issue, excuse me, just make sure I'm seeing it, to install a cistern, and it passed 5-1-0. So,
But we looked at that as a plan and not necessarily, Mr. Hardy wasn't here. I'm pretty sure of that,
No.
right?
Yeah, I didn't
And
know
it was
what
really,
that-
here's the plan, and the question is whether or not, right, we had to comment, so you have a comment period on a subdivision, and so we just took a vote that triggers a cistern by language. So,
If we were to put in an ordinance, or whatever it would take to require the maintenance and performance of annually of those, would that have to go through the planning board as well? Or do we have any-
I'm not sure if, I'm not sure where that would be. If you want to do an ordinance, then that would be different. I don't think that would necessarily be a planning board thing. We could do something like that. We've talked about, even just sending out almost like a postcard that says, hey, it's incumbent on you because you have a system that it requires annual service/testing. And kind of check the box like it's been done. Right, kind of that voluntarily, say, here's what you're supposed to do. Check the box, return the card that says you did it. And if we don't get the card back, go knock on their door and say, has it been done? That's another approach that,
But right now, we don't, do we have any teeth to be able to enforce that?
other than, going to each homeowner and saying, you have a sprinkler system, it's supposed to be tested every year. Just like you go to, let's say, a business and say, well, you don't have your fire extinguishers up to date, and you write them a letter, and then you go back for a reinspection, but there's no teeth really to that.
Well, there isn't, like, places of assembly,
Well, there's more teeth there, because you
Yeah.
have,
right, things like
the
that.
carrot and the stick thing is like, if you want a permit, you gotta make sure all the boxes are checked, and that's one of them. But it's not like we're gonna kick you out of your house. I'm comfortable with sprinklers on this project.
Anybody else?
I'm good with it. Like I said, the only reason we went that way was the wording
What's
from
that?
the planning board.
Anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that they sprinkle those homes.
I'll second that.
Let's,
I would just add in lieu of there.
yeah, so instead of a cistern, that those homes, when built, required sprinklers? Is that what you meant to say?
Yeah.
Okay. Why don't you say how you want it, we'll write it down.
You write it down any way you want it.
No? It's your motion.
I just make a motion that they sprinkle the new homes at this subdivision.
That would be our
Lot
recommendation.
410, is it?
In lieu of a sprinkler. In lieu of a cistern, sorry.
Hmm?
Instead of putting in a cistern. Do you have the map and lot number, Steve?
Yeah.
Is it 410?
It's 410 lot 53 subdivision for 7 lots.
Okay.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
That was Wayne.
I second.
I'm sorry. Yes, thank you. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Yay. Me. And any abstains? None. Motion passes.
Good to go?
That take care of what you're looking for? Okay,
Appreciate it. Thank you.
thank you.
Have a good evening.
Too. Actually, I didn't even think of this, but I need to change my vote.